Chat with Sam Farmer at LA Times Farmer via the X Machine. Sam Farmer at LA Times Farmer. If you want to follow him via the tweet machine, if you're so inclined, as 9 to Noon does, has covered the NFL for the LA Times for a quarter century and is following the LA Rams every step of the way. Sam joins us now from SoCal. These the playoffs, Sam. These first two for the LA Rams have just been amazing, haven't they? Charlotte and Chicago. And great catching up with you, my man. How are things?
Oh, they're great, PA. Thank you, buddy. I love to hear your voice. Both those games, it's funny. The Rams during the regular season just didn't have that killer instinct. I mean, all 5 of their losses, they sort of frittered away down the stretch. And these 2 games at Carolina and at Chicago, they were able to close them out, which is a really positive sign, obviously. I don't think they're playing their best football, but they were able to win down the stretch, which is something they repeatedly failed to do during the regular season.
Go ahead.
No. So that gives them a little bit of a hope going into Seattle, which was one of those games that they would say fumbled away. I mean, they're up by 16 in fourth quarter, and they gave up 3 2-point conversions and lost in overtime. That sticks in their craw, definitely.
Where you just were, Sam, the Soldier Field press box is super quiet all the time. When Caleb hit Komet, did anybody make any noise?
Yeah, that was the one where people were just, it was such a stunning play, the fact that he dropped from the 14 all the way back to the 40, and then the blown coverage there, too. Kobe Durant, who had 2 picks in the game, had a good game. It was one of those moments, it felt like one of those Tyree helmet catch, bizarre, Tebow throwing it to Demarius Williams, 80 yards on the first play of overtime. It was one of those moments where nobody cheered. It was just a gasp.
Yeah.
Like, did that really happen? But you're right. It's quiet, and it's also super narrow. I don't like that. That's the one press box I really don't. It's one of the press boxes I hate. I think Chicago, I don't like the job they did on that stadium. I think they just wedged it into the old Soldier Field, and to me it felt it really feels jammed in there, like they didn't do a great job. And I will have to say, and I'm not just saying this for your audience, I think Minnesota's is the nicest stadium in the league. So I think LA's got a really nice stadium, the HKS or whoever, same designer as Minnesota, same designer as Dallas. I like all those stadiums, but the Vikings with that huge black, ETFE wall that you can see the city, everything, it's awesome.
The fans, with these Rams games, man, fans need a stiff drink when sweating the Rams playoff games. Just like 2021 and those champions, right, who they didn't win a game in November, and they were all out to beat Tampa Bay in the divisional round.
Exactly. That was there are some parallels there. And they lost a divisional game to the Niners, so they had a start on the road, I believe, that year, then that big divisional game where Stafford hit Kupp right down the middle, long pass at the end, and they win it with a field goal, and then they come back and they beat the Niners in SoFi, but it really feels like it's Levi's because it's just filled with Niners fans, and then they win the Super Bowl. There are some distinct similarities. And the red flags, again, as you mentioned, they were 0 for November that year and turned it on. And so, that could happen again. They're going up against Darnold. They sacked him, as you remember, 9 times. You're at that game in Arizona. And I think they tend to play the Seahawks tough, and those games are close. The Seahawks are rolling right now, so, 2 teams feeling differently about themselves right now.
Sam wrote about what I'm about to bring up, but other things recently, but about this, and let's get the audio version, if you can. If Stafford wins the Super Bowl, will it be a Peyton Manning-like exit?
Yeah, I mean, you think about the parallels there. It was in Santa Clara 10 years ago, first Super Bowl at Levi's Stadium, that Peyton won his second ring with his second team and called it a career, kind of like Elway did, winning the Super Bowl, wins the second Super Bowl, and walks away. I just feel like Stafford's wife and kids coming on the road for every single game this season, to me, feels like it's a bit of a retirement tour, just in my gut.
Yeah.
This could be like Peyton at Santa Clara. If you win it, second ring, second team. The difference is really that those Broncos were a team that ran the ball. They were a team that played great defense. They weren't relying on Peyton, and clearly Peyton was in the sunset of his career, finding new ways to make par with his arm after those 4 neck procedures. Stafford is playing his best football. I mean, he's probably going to win the MVP for the first time in his career, and super sharp. I'm still blown away by that pass, that crossbody pass to Devontae Adams against the Bears, where he had that tiny little mail slot of a window, and it was a no-look pass. If you look at from behind, no-look pass. You've seen it a million times with Stafford, but it was just so sharp. He's going to be 38 the day before the Super Bowl. That Saturday before the Super Bowl, he'll turn 38. And I think there's a chance that he just calls it a career if they win it.
And I saw this tweet from Rams Vox JB Long involving the Rams and the road. And, the Seattle game is going to be the 5th road trip in 6 weeks for the Rams. 7th time in 9 weeks they'll play away from home. And what hit me initially, Sam, is big deal, right? Because of the way road teams get those primo seats at SoFi.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I've long thought that, with the Rams and certainly with the Chargers, you're conditioning some good road teams because every game is a road game. Now, I will say the Rams have built that fan base, and even the Chargers have gotten more fans this season than in years past. But when you get a team that travels well, whose fan base travels well, Vikings, Steelers, Cowboys, Raiders, it really does feel like a road game in SoFi. But yeah, that was a pretty remarkable thing, winning on the road. And, winning in the elements like they did at Chicago was a big deal too, in terms of galvanizing the team and building that confidence. I don't think they're at all intimidated about going up to Seattle and playing there. So, and so I just think they're well positioned. We've gone this far in the interview. We haven't even mentioned Bob Hagan.
Yeah, right. I was saving the best. I was saving the best for last because it's. Are you going to give longtime friend? Well, time for one more. Are you going to give a longtime friend George Payton, La Cañada, California? George?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So that's an old school friend. Hagan's going to be rooting for his old friend George Payton, even though fellow old friend Todd Downing, who started with the Vikings the same year that I started play-by-play in 2002. He's with the Patriots. I mean, this is a Hagan conundrum this weekend. He has so many friends in the league, but from your standpoint, are you going to give longtime friend George Payton's Broncos a chance, a puncher's chance, or do you like him a lot with Jarrett Stidham?
I would say puncher's chance, just because you've got Sean Payton with 8 days to prepare. Obviously, huge setback with losing Bo Nix. Bo Nix wasn't playing great until the fourth quarter. He was phenomenal in the fourth quarter of games, but they weren't relying on him so much. But I do look at that Broncos defense, and yet the Patriots played a tough Chargers defense, and then the Texans, who were phenomenal. and won those both by double digits. So I think I'd take the Patriots in this, but I don't totally rule out Jarrett Stidham just because he's been with the team 3 years, third year with the team. A lot of guys say that's when you really start getting it. He's going up against this number one defense a lot in practice, but he hasn't thrown a pass in 3 years and has very little NFL experience other than that. So if you can hide that a little bit and get the running game going, it's just the Patriots right now with the players they've got back on their defensive front. It's really tough to run against them. They were one of the best run defenses in the league for the first half of the year. Then they get some injuries and they're a bad run defense, but now they bounce back to their old form. I think that Broncos have a chance. I wouldn't be totally shocked, but there would be some noise in the press box if they won. Put it that way.
Sam, you're fantastic, man. Great catching up with you, and have a beautiful day. All right.
Thank you, buddy. So great to hear your voice, and say hello to my buddies Bob Hagan and Matt Burke. We're always texting, sending jokes back and forth. So say hello to those guys.
You got it. Thank you, bud. Sam Farmer, NFL writer for the LA Times. Here comes Nordo with that cash thing.
The Fan wants to give you a chance to win some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword is friend. You'll have many friends by winning bonus bucks with the keyword friend at KFAN.
T-Wolves get the Jazz this evening on the road. Chris Finch joins 9 to noon weekly, courtesy of Prize Picks and a Second Harvest Heartland. And we began our conversation earlier today chatting about something to do in Utah, like ski. And I'm like, Chris, you probably aren't going to go skiing with that knee, right?
Good morning, PA. Yeah, no, skiing's never really been something that I've done a lot. Growing up playing basketball, I was not encouraged to go skiing.
And back in our day, speaking of skiing, Jim McKay. Remember Jim McKay narrating ABC's Wide World of Sports and the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, and then the ski jump guy who just got waxed. I mean that kind of soured me on the slopes at a young age. What about you?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I remember that very well, actually.
And Chris Schenkel doing bowling for dollars. Remember that?
Oh yeah. You're making me feel old.
I'm older than you. With your conference, it's. I mean, maybe for you because you're right in this battle. It's been like this for quite some time, but it's kind of starting to feel like the West has some bloodbath to it. I mean, you guys, Houston, San Antonio, Denver, OKC, Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix may not be as good as the aforementioned five, but what a physical, tough team that is. It's just a tough quintet there in the West, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, we knew it was going to be like this. It's seemingly harder and deeper every year, and I think we're seeing it play out on a nightly basis, and great games, hard fought games, close games. Anybody can beat anybody. Kind of just tussling around with each other right now, and I think whoever's going to be able to catch a little bit of a rhythm. But it's, I don't see anyone really separating themselves like throughout the course of the rest of the season. I just think it's going to be like one game margins.
Is this like a normal part of the season, or midway point, approaching All-Star break, approaching trade deadline? I mean, are like conversations and like attitudes different, bodies and minds a little tired?
Oh, no doubt. There's a lot of factors here at this point in the season. You do have, we're halfway through the season or a little bit more in terms of games played, but we have another, 10 games or so before the All-Star break. You got the trade deadline coming up, as you mentioned. That certainly will play with players' minds. And some people are more affected by that than others. And, injuries and just, a lot mid-season funkiness. There's a lot of things that, we got to fight through right now. We've circled this month as a big one.
Yeah.
Just because of, our schedule toughens and, we need to start playing better basketball, which we definitely have. And we looked at this as kind of the month that would set us up for what happens after All-Star break. And so far we feel like we're on track. We lost a couple tough ones over the weekend, but those were kind of typical games that you were referencing here in the West.
With the players who, just may have some anxiety thinking that, hey, I may have to pack everything up and leave. Have you noticed over the years, Chris, that's generated more by what they hear and or see on social media, or maybe from their agents or family members?
No doubt it's coming from outside sources and influences such as social media. I mean, there's a lot of things that are kind of just absolute, conjecture, or people just make believing things, referencing conversations that we know for a fact have never happened and all this kind of stuff. So, so I would say the bulk of it is definitely from the media, social media in particular. Do
you ever have to put out fires, or do you just encourage it to go in one ear and out the other?
I mean, mostly we just encourage it to go in one ear and out the other. There's conversations that Tim does a very good job being transparent with our guys about what might be going on around them, if there is something going on around them, which largely these things there really isn't much substance to them. That doesn't mean that every team's not talking to every other team and they're talking about players and whatnot, but most of it is just kind of exploratory or just, informational gathering, trying to understand the market. It's certainly not highly transactional at that phase, but Tim does a really good job of being honest with these guys. I think that really kind of helps them. But the reality is something can happen at the last moment. And so it's hard to make any certain assurances, but that's just the reality of the business.
Yeah, it's and obviously the reporters or those who are putting it out there, people will have relationships with them, so they'll know, whether the level of validity or lack thereof. And what I'm getting at, for instance, it's like, MLK Day, you got basketball from 11:30 in the morning all the way basically close to midnight. So it's a wonderful day to watch the league. And, I'm watching Dallas. I mean, just Max Christie just hitting 3 after 3, and they're at Madison Square Garden just killing the Knicks. So, after the game, not much pops. But then like this morning, in one of the tabloids, Knicks may be trading Karl Anthony Towns. Sources indicate here are 5 teams that are interested. So, I mean, you don't second guess. You don't say the guy's lying, but nevertheless, that's the stuff that happens after games, like when you get blown out and it gets a little wonky, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, and, some organizations are leakier than others, and, use the media as a way to kind of test the market at times.
Great point.
I'm not saying that's what's happening in this situation. I don't know. I'm not there. I don't know.
That's a good point.
The nature of the discussions, but these are the things that you also have to guard against. And sometimes other teams will use will make up stories about other players and other trades that might be possible to try to flush out what someone's intention might be. So it's a lot of kind of weaponizing the media right now too, which is makes it extra hard on the player, no doubt about it.
What a world. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, weekly 9 to noon. Thanks to Prize Picks, Second Harvest Heartland, and 2harvest.org. The Jazz tonight. This Keontae George is an underrated offensive player because he's trapped in Utah. I'm wondering what you think of him, because his field goal percentage and free throw attempts have gone way up this year. He just seems like he's a stone cold scorer.
Yeah, he is. He's really come on. Will Hardy and his staff have done an outstanding job here in their development with some of their young players. You can see them starting to really round into shape. I think they're on the edge of being really competitive and good moving forward. I think they're going to most likely end up with another pretty good pick this year. keep adding to the young core. But when you go through these rebuilds, you really only need like one or two guys to kind of really hit, and then you can build out the rest of your roster through trade or free agency with guys around it, more experienced guys.
Yeah.
And looks like they've certainly got one in him. And that happens. It's kind of the normal thing. He's come into the league so young and try to figure it out, and now everything slows down and you get stronger and you get more confidence. And once you see that you can do it over and over again, then that's when guys get really dangerous.
You guys are a little more banged up than usual right now, aren't you? With Nas and Rudy and those games Anthony missed, a little nicked up right now, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We're going through it a bit. We're generally have been one of the healthier teams in the league over the last few years. So all credit to our performance staff and our guys for taking care of themselves. And obviously having good fortune. So I hope that continues. But yeah, we're going through it a little bit. We got some guys little banged up, but fortunately they don't seem to be anything of the long-term variety.
Excellent. What when Anthony doesn't play, what's different with your team's ball movement when the alpha doesn't play?
Yeah, it's just normal. You see it, I think, with most teams around the league. Our pace picks up a little bit. Certainly I think our ball movement picks up, our kind of our off ball movement picks up. We know we have to be a bit more of a movement team in that regard, just because Anthony has the ability to kind of pierce the defense and force people into putting two or three guys on the ball. And then that, opens up kick out opportunities, but we can't rely solely just on Julius to do that. So pace picks up. Ball movement picks up, opens up closeout situations that we can attack. So it's just, I think it's just it's normal. We are can be at times a pretty ISO heavy team with both Ant and Julius. They're very good at it. We try to have a good balance of ISO and movement, but when you're, missing one of your better ISO players, then, you got to lean on the other things that you do well.
Chris, in that Spurs game, despite his elite countryman, Wembanyama, going for 39, holy cow with that 39 too, Baron J had to give you 23 in a pinch. Overall, how did he do?
Outstanding. He was excellent.
Wow.
He's been really good in the minutes that he's played here in the last couple games. His activity, his presence at the rim, keeping balls alive, offensive rebounds, hustle plays, running the floor, just all the things that he already does well. That's what I love about him. He's just doubling down on the things that he does well that make him who he is. And from that, he's really helping us. He's gaining confidence. He's bouncy. And I've always, since day one, I've used the word fearless. He's unafraid. He's unafraid of any situation. Doesn't matter if he's guarding Giannis or guarding Wemby or someone's coming at him full speed at the rim. He's going to take the challenge.
Right. And then that is specifically with teenagers, man. I'm glad you said that. He has a chance. And we don't generally get into conversations like this about super young players because so much can change. But this guy has a legitimate chance to be something special. And even casual basketball fans can tell he's not afraid of anything. It's going to be really exciting to see him grow, isn't it?
Yeah, we are so excited about him, and he's going to be. To your point, he's got a chance to be a special player, but he's going to be really good. There's no doubt about it. His versatility on defense, he really can guard in all switch situations, and we feel comfortable he can guard. Point guards and all kinds of things with his agility, his quickness, his length. He just needs to kind of keep learning. Some of the mistakes that he makes are just, youthful mistakes that's expected and normal. And we're happy he's making them because, he learns quick, real quick. And that's the other thing about him. And someone who's come to the game late, he didn't start playing the game until about a few years ago. He's got a good feel, which is often not the case, in bigs that come to the game late. and he's got a really sharp learning curve, and that bodes well for his growth.
How 3 to go here. Thanks for the time. How much do the analytics of the NBA matter to you?
Quite a bit. I think my guiding principle on the analytics, PA, is I use them as a guide, not a god. That's kind of like our mantra. We certainly are steeped in the analytics. We follow them. We understand what they're saying and why they're saying it. But we're not blindly doing everything that they're telling us to do. And I remember having, when you introduced me to Kevin O'Connell out in LA, like, it's one thing that we quickly started talking about was just like, kind of the lens, the microscope that analytics have put coaching decisions under now,
right.
Which is hard. I think for them, we were talking specifically like about fourth down choices.
Right.
And what analytics can't do is they can't tell you the chain reaction of events that will happen or might happen or need to happen. They can predict and tell you, like, hey, if you go for it on fourth down, you got an X percent chance of winning. Well, that assumes a lot in there too, So you still got to use your coaching. You got to use your feel. You got to use the knowledge of your team. Like, what are you able to accomplish? That's another thing. It's not like what the analytics say. Like, you also have to say, can we do that? Like, are we good enough to be able to pull that off, or do we have to do it some other way? So, but yeah, right now the league is so analytically driven, and there's a lot of good basketball that's come out of that if you're not playing analytically, if you're not leaning into and listening to the analytics, you're going to be behind the curve. So there's just right now there's just some baseline to it that you have to follow. And where we really try to lean into it is like in the small pieces of the game where there's still maybe inefficiencies that you can exploit. So.
All right. So and if you don't have anything, that's fine. But like top of the head, what's one analytical number or ranking with your team those who don't follow know exists, but they don't really know what it is, but it's impressive to you?
So what is an analytical ranking for us that
impresses you,
that we pride ourselves on, basically?
Yeah.
Well, I'm big on shot selection. Like our effective field goal percentage and how we get to that through high quality shots. I think that's basically kind of underpins good offense. I don't think it's a hidden thing. I think it's what everybody's striving for. But what's happened, I think, in this, like, the league is playing faster. There's no doubt about it. And people have taken more and more threes over the last few years. But what's interesting, and what I'm finding in the analytics, is that playing faster used to mean that it led to better shots. But now people are playing fast for the sake of playing fast. And some of those shot selection outcomes aren't the same. The same with threes. You used to be able, like, back in the beginning of the analytics revolution, it didn't matter. Get up as many threes as you possibly can, and even if they're not good threes. And but now with everybody shooting so many threes, like, the volume matters a little less and the quality matters way more. So, you can shoot a higher percentage on a better quality three rather than shooting a medium percentage on a high volume of threes. It's basically like the kind of what I see happening right now in the league. Just so it's almost like the pace of the game and the commitment to the three has kind of has overextended itself a little bit, to cause a little bit of inefficiency. So dial it back. So, like, we want to play faster this year, but we're not a really super fast team. But because teams have gotten so good in the half-court offense, like, half-court offenses have become so much more efficient in the last several years, you don't need to play breakneck speed just to get good shots any longer. And that's a credit to the coaching, the adjustment. I think a lot of it's a reaction to the high volume of switching in offense. Like, just players have to play with a little bit more nuance to their game. A little bit more movement. as we talked about earlier, and also, just the skill level of the players that keeps going up and up.
Finchy, some NFL steam next.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
All right, let's get steamy with one of the best, Adam Caplan, elite NFL newsbreaker and tweeter at Caplan NFL via X. There have been like 45, 46 coaches fired the last 6 years. Still have a bunch of openings this year, Adam. How in the heck have you been, and how's the pickleball game?
Tennis, yeah, good, man. Yeah, look, it's been certainly surprising at the number. Going back to 1990, the average is 6.5. We have 10 changes. Not everyone was a firing. We had the Mike Tomlin resignation now. I still believe he'll be a head coach again, but it won't be in 2026. So, yeah, it's been wild, man. But the only one I was truly surprised with, I've been thinking, based on what I'd known, that Tom was going to leave the team at some point over the next couple of years, and he did now. But the one that it's a surprise. I wasn't shocked. But the last one, the Sean McDermott firing, was interesting in that I know for a fact how close he was at one point with owner Terry Pegula, but Pegula made the choice and gave Brandon Beane, the GM, way more power.
Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley to Miami. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Hafley, that was the favorite from the beginning because of his relationship with the new general manager, John Eric Sullivan. So they made total sense. In fact, this is one where you look. I just don't see any of the other guys who were interviewing having a real shot. And Hafley got it. They have familiarity with both each other. And Hafley was a head coach at Boston College, so that's why you add all that up. He was the clear favorite.
What do you think is next for Brian Flores?
Well, he's going to have a shot in Pittsburgh. Remember, he was there before. They know him very, very well. We understand the lawsuits that's out there against the NFL that's still out there, but although my feeling has been since day one that Chris Schul is going to wind up being the favorite to get that job. But Brian Flores is really, really smart and really, really good. He'll have a shot. And again, they do know him there. That's one of the reasons why he's on their list. And obviously, we know that the Vikings want him back pretty big. So, and he is brilliant. I mean, he is a phenomenal defensive mind.
Is Cleveland going to hire 30-year-old Grant Udinski, who was here with O'Connell?
Ready for this one? Grant Udinski grew up 20 minutes from where I was born.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to believe. Yeah, he's from Doylestown, PA. So this is what I was told with Udinski. The Browns want to go young. They'd like to go young. And they want Jim Schwartz on his staff as defense coordinator because their defense is elite. It's just offensively because they don't have a quarterback. They want someone to develop Shedeur Sanders. And if you're Grant Udinski at 30 years old, you're just happy you're interviewing for a head coaching job. So obviously he's offered it. He's taking it. I know there's some other teams that have interest in him, but look, he's not really run a room before. I was told it's a big step up. We'll see what happens in when they finalize things here. Schwartz is, by the way, one of the finalists for it. Todd Monken's there. You have to understand. Now, here's the other thing. You mentioned Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott, with 6 openings left, should get a couple interviews here, and he could kind of upset the process, if you will.
Adam Caplan, with his ear to the ground with all this stuff, it's so steamy. Does anybody actually want the Arizona job?
Or the Raider job?
Yeah, or the Raider job?
Let me explain, though, the Arizona job. There's a lot of talent on defense. There's a ton. A lot of the guys got hurt. They've drafted pretty well. Monty Ossenfort, the GM, has done a really good job in the draft. It's just they had a massive injury problem. They've got a bad contract with Kyler Murray. No one's taking it as is. They're going to have to eat some of the money if they're able to trade him. Still going to be very hard to trade him. But, yeah, that's where Sean McDermott, someone like that. I mean, I know they're looking at defensive guys. Clint Kubiak, by the way, Gary's son. He's a guy who's very well liked by 3 or 4 teams. His thing is going to be how he interviews. He's kind of a soft-spoken guy, but extremely smart, and the job that he's done with Seattle and Sam Darnold has been elite.
Does anybody want Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, there are teams interested. He's had a bunch of interviews. In fact, he's had a lot of looks as an offense coordinator candidate. He's going to be an offense coordinator, calling plays anywhere he wants. He's another one where he's going to get some second looks for second interviews. You got to watch the Brown situation because they're looking for someone who will definitely want to coach Shedeur Sanders. GM Andrew Berry's very high on Shedeur, I'm told. So, Todd Monken, by the way, is up for a couple jobs. The Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator, who will go to the Giants if he does not get a head coaching job.
Cap, Rams at Seattle. Who do you like and why?
Going back and forth on this one, the two teams split in the regular season. What's odd about Seattle is they're the best road team in the National Football League last 2 seasons. And then you look at them at home. Look, they've had some losses, not many. It's just so hard to win there. I think it's really tight. But you know what? Matthew Stafford, who I voted for Pro Football Writers Association as Offensive Player of the Year, it's hard to bet against him. And Sam Darnold in these big spots, does he turn it over? He had 4 turnovers at L.A. or they would have won that game. I'm leaning towards the Rams very, very in a short number, very, very tight game.
You are so steamy right now and on top of all of it as usual. Thank you, Cap.
You got it. Thanks.
Adam Caplan at Caplan NFL via X. That's 9 to noon. Thank you very much for listening. New Twins manager Derek Shelton in studio 9 to noon tomorrow. That's when we will rise and shine at 9. Meanwhile, here's Big Daddy Khan and that rap on the shop.
Personal foul. Clipping. The game is over.
Solo journeys, yes, they do have their perks. Meat sauces like lotion and saran wrap works. And while I'm not sure what he's referring to, I figured I'd relay that info onto you. Anyway, cool bits with Farmer and Finchy, anatomy of the Final Four like Mike McGlinchey. He'll be pass blocking this week for Jarrett Stidham. Picture having draft picks, but you actually hit them. Crazy concept as we watch from afar. Catching games on the couch, maybe 2-for-1s at the bar. Maybe despite your team, you're really rooting for Sam, or you're in awe of Puka, so you're in on the Rams. And what could have been with Drake May. Although we never really had a shot on draft day, so just move on to the now and let's get to hating. I hope Vrabel's team puts 40 on Sean Payton.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.